Okay, what I'm going to be focused on is a little bit from my experience in Pennsylvania, but I think it's the experience most of you are also having. As I look to the next decade, I'm concerned we have 14 independent institutions in Pennsylvania in our system. I'm concerned that 10 years from now, we're not going to have 14 separate institutions. We have to collaborate to succeed. The context of sustainability is really there. We've got declining high school enrollments. We have 8 of our 14 institutions talking about laying off faculty. We've got major budget shortfalls. If you look at it from an operational context, we know the federal government is concerned about debt, which is putting limits on tuition increases. We know the state governments are looking at how we can increase our efficiency. The storm clouds are there, without a doubt. We've got increasing pension costs, we've got contractual obligations, we've got declining enrollments, which high school graduation's declining, but at the same time with these clouds, we know you can have a spark of inspiration. We know we can light a fire if we take advantage of this situation. We know that we need to look to the future in doing things very differently if we're going to sustain our institutions in the future. That's going to take leadership. That leadership also has to enable some of those that follow to enable them to fly. But at the same time, it has to enable them to fly in the same direction. And I think that's important. Our university model is historic and is now outdated. I think the context has changed with the public, as we've heard. We have to think about that 45-hour situation is anachronistic. We're frozen in time. There's no doubt about that, I think. We have a long history, and as Jim Collins said, good is the enemy of great, and I think our good history has created a barrier to moving forward. That old image I had of a faculty member as an independent scholar fishing for ideas and just kind of operating as an independent contractor is over. I think student learning outcomes have forced us to be much more collaborative in what we do. Quite honestly, this is a change of culture, and if we don't change that culture, I'm afraid some of our institutions are not going to survive. We have to think about how we preserve the old and at the same time make way for the new. Students of today are different. There's no doubt about that. I think they demand different things of us. I think their duplication of coursework is not tolerant. They're now working on adult students. We're working with greater demographics of our students. We have to think very differently. We have to move, as we heard this morning, from being institution-focused to being student-focused. We need to focus in our system, I think, on collaborative programs, on collaborative course sharing, on the idea that not all your courses are going to come from this home institution. We have to link our institutions together in a very different way. If we can do that, I think in Pennsylvania we can provide the individual attention of a small private and the resources of a large state university. And it's all a matter of perspective. We have to think about how we provide competency-based education. I think we have to think about how we look deeper at what we do. We have to think about how that role of faculty are going to change. I think faculty are going to be less content-oriented, much more emphasized on practices that create wisdom, that create an application of learning that's very important. I think when we look at that intensive interaction of faculty, at the same time, we know some of the answers utilizing technology are up in the cloud. I think course delivery for introductory courses is going to make a lot more use of adaptive technology, and at the same time, the advanced courses are going to move to faculty working in teams of students rather than focused in on individual courses. We have to look outward rather than inward. I think we have to think about the external demands and focus on our public mission. It'd be really nice if the way and the path was straightforward and an easy walk across troubled waters, but we know that's not going to be the same. What we're going to do is we need to have some courage. I think we need to get out of our comfort zone, try some new things. This context, I think, demands transformation. It demands us to move from where we're comfortable with to what we need to be concerned about in terms of meeting our students' needs. There are institutional barriers, there's no doubt about it. Institutional identification, institutional loyalty, institutional reputation. But we're going to have to work together, I think, to change the context of what we do. Our role as public institutions is to change lives of our students, to transform those individuals and transform our communities. A collaborative model, I think, is necessary for us to maintain that mission of changing life trajectories. So thank you.